Hello, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of the Riyal Deal Plus. Now, Saudi Arabia's luxury and watch market continues to grow, driven by strong consumer demand. Well, women account for the majority of buyers, while men's purchases focus largely on watches. Well, low taxes and competitive gold prices have helped position the kingdom as a key regional luxury market. Well, one watch brand with a large and growing presence in the kingdom is the Swiss luxury watchmaker Breitling. Well, the CEO of Breitling, Georges Kern, joins us now. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We've got lots to talk about. Breitling recently announced a new global partnership with Aston Martin Lagonda and the Aston Martin Aramco Formula One team. So watchmaking and motorsports, I mean, they've got a pretty long-standing history, haven't they? Just wanted to start by asking you, why did you decide to return to the sport now?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, we are much more grown brand than we have been 7 or 8 years ago. In the meantime, Formula One saw an incredible increase in visibility and knowledge, certainly also because of the Netflix series Drive to Survive. Another key element is that this season is basically a restart of Formula One from scratch, as you have new engines with hybrid, half hybrid and half traditional engines with new type of fuels. So nobody knows what is going on or what will go on in Formula One this year. But anyway, the Formula One circuit is trying to be much more sustainable and environmental friendly, which is also important for us. And there's a long history, in particular between Breitling and Aston Martin. In the first James Bond with one of the first James Bonds with Sean Connery called Thunderball, the first watch developed by Q with a technical feature was a Breitling. It was a Geiger meter, and he was driving at that time a DB5, which is probably one of the most beautiful cars in history. And we can use and work with Aston Martin on the 3 pillars, with the vintage cars like the DB5, for instance, with Formula One, the watch we are launching now, and with Lagonda, the cars you can buy if you have enough money. So it's a great partnership, great brand, great image transfer for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And a long-standing partnership as well, by the sounds of things. I mean, Breitling's got this great visibility and presence at regional events. Do you think we're going to be seeing more of Breitling at cultural, sporting, aviation events? I mean, in particular, we're interested in Saudi Arabia here.
Well, first of all, there are 4 Formula One races in the Middle East. There's one in Saudi, one in Bahrain, one in Qatar, and the end of season in Abu Dhabi. So the visibility is there. And we are one of the strongest brands in the region anyway, for historical reasons also. All major celebrities and important people in the Middle East are wearing or worn Breitling watches. So we have fantastic roots. It's one of the very few growing markets, by the way. Our number 1 market is the USA, but the Middle East and Saudi also in particular, but UAE, all these markets are growing, thank God. And we see a great future of us in that region.
Okay, I mean, lots is happening here in the Middle East. I've read that you've just launched your first Breitling Kitchen in the region. It happens to be in Riyadh. It says it's open for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Just want to know more about what inspired this choice and why you chose Riyadh for this Breitling Kitchen.
Well, it's a big city. It's a growing. You know, you have hundreds of millions, billions of investments in Riyadh, but overall, the country is opening also more to tourism. We will open more boutiques in Saudi Arabia because the market is there. Indeed, many of the clients flew in the past to Dubai, for instance, to buy watches or luxury goods. But when you look into the luxury industry, most of these companies are now locating or having a big presence in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh and in Jeddah and elsewhere. And therefore we have to be there where the client is, if you want.
Okay, so clearly Saudi Arabia, a really important market for Breitling. Now, I gather you've released some limited edition watches that specifically target the Saudi market. And I just wanted to ask you, do you see yourselves expanding further in the kingdom, and what sort of growth are you anticipating in Saudi?
First of all, yes, we have a growth in distribution of visibility, but we need to work on our awareness. This is why this relationship with Aston Martin and with Formula One in Saudi is so important. You know, this is a normal effect and where you have to work on maturity for your brand. So you invest in these kind of tools. We have, for instance, also sports people like Erling Haaland, which is one of our ambassadors, and soccer is getting bigger and bigger also in Saudi. So we have, if you want, many instruments to work on the awareness and on the prestige of our brand in Saudi, be it boutiques or all our activation around Formula One and our celebrities.
Okay, now I was wondering to myself, is there anything that sets the Saudi market apart? And obviously, I'm talking here about the luxury market. When it comes to taste and preferences, what makes Saudi Arabia stand out?
No, I think the Saudi market is growing. It was closed for many years. It has opened over the last couple of years. We see the growth. As I said, this is why all luxury companies are going there. But at the end of the day, all the luxury companies are global brands. And the taste is the same, be it in Riyadh or in Paris or in London. We are talking here to global customer base with the same education, business people traveling around, seeing the brand around. And you might have small differences because of ergonomy. For instance, some people might like smaller watches, but ultimately we are all building global brands and we're targeting a global customer base, and it's the same in Saudi.
Okay, Georges, now I wanted to ask you about a project which I know is very close to your heart. It's called Universal Genève, and it comes under the Breitling umbrella, and you've given it a really big relaunch. And I'm wondering what the logic is here. What's the thinking behind it? Where you're positioning that Universal Genève brand in the market? And are there any other legacy brands you got your eye on at the moment?
Well, actually, we are relaunching two brands. One below Breitling called Gallet, also what we call a dormant brand, a sleeping brand, which we're going to revive. And Universal Genève, which is probably the most looked after, which was one of the most looked after sleeping or dormant brand in the market. So Gallet will be between 2.5 and 5,000 Swiss francs. Breitling will be between 5 and let's say 30 or 35,000 Swiss francs or dollars if you want. Universal is totally different. Universal will be more expensive, starting at 15,000 upwards, and it will be much more feminine. And this is why also Universal will be so important for us in the Middle East. We just came back from Dubai, from the Dubai Watch Week, where we saw our Saudi customers, even not only retailers and partners, but really also end consumers. And they absolutely love Universal Genève. The positioning will be totally different. The designs are incredible with fantastic historic roots. The first very important design made by that star designer called Gerald Genta, who made watches for Patek, Audemars Piguet and others, is an Universal Genève watch called the Pole Router, which we're going to relaunch. But what is really interesting is that it's male and female, and that balance is very important for us, considering also the strengths of the jewelry business. When you look at the luxury industry at this moment in time, the jewelry business is doing very well, and we will have also many jewelry watches in that field to offer innovative, new, and with lots of creation.
Okay, clearly exciting times for your industry, exciting times for Breitling. But let's talk about some of the challenges that you're facing right now. And I'm thinking to myself, have tariffs or supply chain constraints? Or what about crime on the streets of major European capital cities? I mean, how is all of that challenging you?
Yes, I mean, I can add many more things like the strong Swiss franc, but it's really tariffs, which is an issue. As you know, Switzerland, we were under 39% of tariffs. Now it's 15%. The Swiss franc is growing versus the dollar, versus the euro. The gold price is exploding. Silver price has been exploding. Thank God it went down a little bit again. And all of that impact, of course, wars. People don't realize that we in Europe, we are 2 hours away by plane from the Ukraine war. And all of that impacts, of course, also consumer sentiment. So the money is there. Money doesn't, disappear. Rich people don't disappear. But for the moment, they buy less than in the past years. It will come back. But I think many, politicians should get their acts together to solve these problems, not only for the drama related to wars and what have you, but also for the economic development of the world, helping many people having a proper job.
Okay, now, George, I want to ask you about younger buyers. Of course, Saudi Arabia is a country where 2/3 of the population is under the age of 30. How are you managing to stay relevant to younger buyers? I mean, are they embracing analog in the same way that our generation did, or are they more oriented towards high-tech timepieces? And if so, what are you doing about that?
Well, indeed, many years back, I'm in this industry since 30 years, I was shocked and afraid about the digital watches, the Apple watches, etc. But we saw that they're complementary. So one doesn't exclude the other. It's just, you just use it in a different way. And by the way, we don't segment by age or by gender, or we segment by style. When you buy into Breitling, you buy into a more relaxed, cool lifestyle. You can be a surfer when you're 16 or when you're 60. You can be a motorbiker when you're 18, 19, or 20, or when you're older. So it's more this cool and relaxed lifestyle which we communicate and target than a specific gender or specific age group. And yeah, it's about branding and creating an image which is attractive for consumers.
Okay, George. Now, just before we finish, I mean, you've led Breitling's transformation for about a decade now, and we talk a lot on this program about the year 2030. Of course, a very important year for Saudi Arabia with Vision 2030. Let me ask you this. What's your vision for Breitling by the year 2030?
Well, it's obviously being better and bigger and being in the top 5 brands in the world.
Are you nearly there?
Yeah, we are confident to reach that. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We're going to leave it there. We really appreciate you taking the time.
I'm 61 years old. Let's do this before I'm 65.
Okay. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Georges Kern, the CEO of Breitling. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.